Welcome to the Christian Business Leader Podcast, where Christ-following business leaders explore God's will and ways for business. This show is a ministry of the Center for Christianity and Business at Houston Christian University and features conversations with today's Christ-centered business leaders who are representing Christ faithfully in the business world. I'm your host, Darren Shear, and if you want to make your work, leadership, and company's culture more Christ-centered, you've come to the right place. On this episode, we're joined by my good friend, Adam Hambleton. Adam is one of the most admired CEOs in our community here in Haywood County, North Carolina. He's the founder and CEO of WNC Washing and Staining, which stands for Western North Carolina, if you're not familiar. Hambleton Gardens and Hambleton Services, which was voted the number one landscaper of Haywood County. And he just has an incredible heart for people and kids. He's active in the kids ministry at his church. I know we've had our boys on the same basketball team, and it's just been a real joy to get to know him and see God really prosper his business here in our area. And he's not only serving customers, but is really the pastor of a large workforce of great people, and he's going to tell us about that today. Adam, welcome to the Christian Business Leader Podcast.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you to all the people that have chose to listen to this today.
Indeed. Adam, when did you first realize God wants to be involved in your work and business?
I would say definitely as soon as I started it. I was so solely dependent on God, even though I didn't know him in a relational place. I knew of him, and I had a heart of if I do some stuff for people, he'll take care of me, maybe. But it certainly developed when I came to the Lord and I had my testimony, and that happened about when I had finished my college, and I was about 4 years into my business, 5, so before I accepted the Lord into my life.
Got it. And so what changed in terms of how you approach business?
I would say when I started, I was 20. That's 15 years ago. I'm 35 now. And it was 2009. I didn't have any bills. I didn't have much responsibilities. I really just knew the guy that I was working for really wasn't ethical. And I wanted to be ethical. I wanted to do what I wanted to do without answering silly questions. So I started that.
Like, what was unethical?
He was asking me to cover up some of the winterization frozen pipes for some of the houses, and he was cutting my hours, and I was over delivering for him, and it just kind of really bit me over a period of time because I wanted to do my very best. And that kind of came from growing up with having to fight so much. I paid for my school supplies in high school. I paid rent, I paid for my own car, and managed my money while working over the summer to pay for my yearly expenses. So after I got to a place where I felt comfortable and confident enough, I just took off, and I haven't stopped one day since. Literally had something to do every day. And really took the leap of faith, hiring my first employee, second year in, was very highly I was just critical of everything that they did, and really did not look at the person. I looked at more of the what they could do and their outcome. And then I began to build relationships. I met my wife. That took a huge change. She had a 4-year-old daughter. I grew up real quick. Began going to New Covenant, and I met Pastor Nick Hunterkamp, and I began to get involved into the children's ministry. But really importantly, this is the craziest thing I'll ever remember, but he taught us the year of gratitude. And we gave away at New Covenant $250,000 worth of the savings. And he taught us how to give away. Samantha and I gave away stuff just out of joyfulness. And he began to repay us with steady employee workforce, or people that would forever be thankful for you when they thought of your name, or would be ever changed because you took the time or the resource out of your pocket to give it to them. And We started tithing, which is something that I was not doing. I started paying my taxes like we were supposed to pay and not trying to cover from the government or getting underneath and doing things right and being honest. It just has its own way of reward and compounding that with employees. I'll go into that too. I made a big change because I wanted to grow my business here in North Carolina. We fully depend on tourism and things of that area in the mountains, but in the wintertime, it is super slow. 75% of our work are drops right off the box because everybody goes to Florida, south, and in the warmer temperatures. So I said we had to figure something out. And I took a big leap of faith in 2016 with an H-2B visa program. I prayed. I got 5 men that were I applied for. It was a huge process. It was probably about 15 to 18,000 then to get that process. And then I had to find a place for them to stay. I had to provide transportation. I had to provide them driver's license courses and tests. And I began to build relationships with 4 of them. 4 of the 5, and the other 5th one I fired that year. But 4 of the 5 are still with me today. And not only that, but at least 4 to 5 family members per person work for me now as well, too. They have their own subgroup. They have their own line enhancement. One has a rock and stonemason crew, and his brothers come to work, and his nephew. So it's really building a tribe and a culture around getting people out of poverty and into a really good job that they can learn to save their money. They can have goals and dreams and be more disciplined, and I can hold them accountable. We have a different idea here that we're not competing so much, but we're more or less supporting each other here. And we give each other a hard time, but we celebrate a lot. And we also initiated, last 2 years ago, we initiated a monthly bonus. So everything, it would tie directly to the net profit of the month of that. And we'd split a portion of the net findings or the net profit for the whole crew, everybody that's on the workforce, not the administration, just the workforce team. And so they're getting, $300 to $600 a month during the 7 months of the busy season, and everybody's pumped. We're having parties, about every quarter to celebrate and to build that relationship. So that's.
And you have how many employees at this point?
Well, I would say in the fall, at November, we had 55 with all 3 companies. Between the gardens, had about 7, and the other 2 were split between the staining and landscaping. This year, we are planning on having at least 65. So 10 of those will be new visas, and 8 of which have never been here before, which will need full training, but all of which are family, not friends or not close, but actual family of the people that are here. So it makes for just interesting. It's fun. It's exciting. It's culturally different.
Yeah.
And we pray every single day when we go to work here. We get in a big circle. It's actually kind of amazing. We started that 4 years ago, and I was shaking like a leaf and worried about it. But ever since then, it's drawn some sort of camaraderie for our group, protection on the roads. There's just things that I told them, one accident with one truck can change everything. And being safe and being responsible, being the best, being highly valued in the community has its benefits, not just of status, but godly benefits and community. Yeah. When the disaster struck, our teams went to work when there was no cell signal. People needed it. We just didn't even have to go anywhere. And they volunteered their time. I wish I could tell you, I get the credit, but they went out and they did that. And we did that back in the last flood too. It's a culture, and it's something that the people know that they can be a part of and trust and be disciplined, and they can be confident and secure enough to stay.
Yeah. So out of your 55, I think you said you have 55 and you're going up to 65. What percentage of those employees are coming from Mexico and other Central
Sure.
South American countries?
It's 50%. About 50% of our workforce is local. 50% has come in from El Salvador, Guatemala, and mostly Mexico.
Okay.
But interestingly enough, they know each other. They have a great communication, and I go visit with them here and there. But the people that are here locally, we've worked to get green cards. We've worked to get lawyers and status and reconcile their passports, etc. Get driver's license. So there is a distinct difference between the H-2B and the local as far as the time spent here, but otherwise they're family.
Yeah.
When they come back, we're all excited, we're jazzed, and go back to work.
Yeah. Speak to our listeners that they hear the immigration narrative, and of course the inauguration, and now ICE is getting ready to go on the warpath, to send everybody back to their home countries, and they're supposed to stay there. Can you just address that narrative from your perspective as a Christian businessman who 50% of your workforce are coming from other countries? And again, the narrative is, well, you're taking away jobs from our local economy. Like, how do you respond to that?
Yeah, that's interesting. What I recall, or what statistic grabbed me from the USCIS is for every 3 immigrant workers creates 1 American job. And the reason is because the Americans are not willing to do the work that we need to do, that the customers are willing to pay for. Bottom line, there is not a soul on this county that you can put them up, and you can put them up in the same truck, and you can have them put them face to face and race and go do the same work. They can't compete. So to speak to why I use it, and I use the H-2B program because these folks come and they're making maybe $20 a day for a 12-hour day of picking corn. And when I mean picking corn, it's as fast as you can move your arms, and they pay maybe 200 pesos per bushel or something, and so as far as the process, I started using that process. It costs something this year. We spent over 50 to 60,000. We have to house them. We have to create a whole business structure around that. That's a wasted cost. You have to factor in spending $60,000 to the United States government or different parcels of the government in order to get them here for 7 months and do that year after year. And it still pays for the $70,000 you would have lost. And it could have been 3 trucks they broke from not checking the oil. It's just something so simple. There's so many different variables to keeping things humming. And I built this business with the Lord's help and guidance, but I had no idea I'd be using H-2B visas. I didn't plan this out. At 12 employees, I said, that's it. I can't do anymore. I'm like finished. I'm toast. This is all I can do. But I grew, and the people grew. And when you bring a group with you and you change, my goal is not the work. I know we have great work. My goal is the people. That's what I go out. I love to go out every single morning and look every single person in the eyes and speak to and shake hands with every single person and say good morning and see what's going on with them. That's my job. I get fed by seeing what kind of dangers they're in, what kind of needs they have, what are their eyes bloodshot, or are they sad? I can literally pick up so fast on people and see what's going on and pull them aside. And it's the Holy Spirit tugging on you. And as soon as you're developing that, it's a skill. It's a God-given skill. And it takes so much time. There's so much indirect training that goes into knowing all these people and knowing that they have your back or they don't, or they have your best interest or they're having a hard time. There's just so many different facets. You can't control it all.
Yeah.
And bringing Jesus to the center of it all gives hope. It might just give that little bit of umph that they need to get through their day. And you can't monetize that. People can live with very minimal needs met. And so the money, it's one thing, but once you get the money, you know that it's not the money. You're like, wow, happiness is drawn in relationship. And our Father is calling us to a deeper relationship with Him if we were to be more obedient and have a deeper relationship with Him. And that takes time. You cannot just jump in and take a class and win that. You have to go through battles. You have to go through some things that you think that it might be over unless you fix it. We don't know what it's going to be like unless you do it.
Yeah.
And knowing other people know that you have that mentality, catching them when they make a mistake and going to fight for them in court, encouraging them to pay their taxes. Look, you are here. Some of you might have come illegally, okay? But we've worked hard to get you a tax ID number. File your taxes. Every person, have you filed your tax? Donald Trump has come on his stage and he says, we are going to give people the opportunity to get their college degree. I don't know if it's the same language. I don't know if it's 4 degrees. I don't know. But he said, we want to keep the rest and we'll want to keep the best and send the rest. And to me, I think that the people that are here both contributing to tax and in the community and helping, like my workers were out there cleaning out people's muddy messes, fish underneath the houses, and with a smile. No one else would be willing to do that. In fact, we saw grandchildren and middle-aged men watching us do the work, fully able. It's a mentality.
Yeah.
And we culture together and we look at each other and we say, look around, everyone. We are all we have. If we get in trouble, there's no one coming to save us. We need to be on the same team. It's not a secret. If we don't have that kind of mentality, somebody else is going to come in and rob our hen house. Somebody else is going to drive us into the dirt. Somebody else is going to be more advantaged, or they're going to, whatever. But so that's kind of that. As far as the immigration goes and the H-2B and coming over from border to border, I think doing it the right way costs dozens of thousands of dollars. Is it worth it? Yes, if you manage your money well, or you manage God's money well, yeah. So anything's possible. Is it easy, simple? Is it? No way. It's a lottery system. We have to put our name in a hat, and the USCIS shakes the hat and pulls out A, B, C, or D, or E, and F. We got D last year, put our guys here in June, in May, middle May. I mean, grass starts in April. So we had to really take our 20, at then was like 22 guys, and move them over to landscaping. And I'm like, could you imagine going to your job and the next day you wake up and say, hey, your job's not your job anymore. You got to do this job. You may not have any experience, or, we might have to fake it a little bit till we make it. And we've had guys here for several years that have worked both companies. So it's not like I'm sending people to do dangerous things, but you have to do a different job in the spring when it's cold, instead of you're used to painting and standing outside when you're on one job. So we have a different culture. And I would say that staying humble, staying at the top, staying laser focused and disciplined and able to keep family time and show all your workers that you got it together. It's not sustainable if you don't do it right.
Yeah.
It's just not.
I love how your tagline on your truck says, we show up, and you guys do show up, and you're willing to do things that we just don't have enough people around our community to do. I mean, I was telling you about that that cabin we're building, and it's on a really steep slope where the porch footers have got to go. And the concrete guy was just saying, we're going to have to try to get our excavator out there on that slope, but then it's going to take out your slope because the excavator is 6 feet wide. Well, why not just use shovels? He's like, oh, well, we're not doing that. You're going to have to find somebody else to pick up a shovel. And that's something else we'll have to talk about offline is I need some guys willing to pick up shovels because we don't have enough people in our country willing to pick up shovels anymore. I wanted to ask you too, based on what you've learned about what Trump is planning to do, how will these policies impact your business specifically?
I don't think they'll impact our business specifically at all. It does put fear. I mean, the Border Patrol is here and the community gets nervous. There are legal people that are here that have made families, that have made communities that are strong involved. But
do they come and stop by?
No, they were here and they were specifically here to help with flood. So how President Trump is going to execute this, in my mind, would be start with the criminals, start with the difficult people, the people that can't maintain the law. And the people here would agree. In my company, they would come in and they would say, yes, we agree with that. If you don't keep the law, you can't stay.
Yeah.
And what's interesting enough, Darren, something I learned about Mexican people that have traveled here, especially adults, and they've stayed here for any number of time, every Mexican person dreams to go home, back to Mexico. They don't like our culture. And frankly, our culture is disappointing to them. We do not keep family at the highest point of our pyramid. We don't keep God out there at the top. We're divorcing more rapidly. And they have a culture of keeping people home, multiculturals, because of the deficit in their income. It's kept their relationships stronger, which is unbelievable to me. To know that the real important thing in life is people. And if you're having too much money and that money's driving you apart, what else is the alternating factor? Is because they have cell phones, we have cell phones. It's a cultural change.
Yeah. So if President Trump came to you and asked you to advise him on his immigration policies and how they impact small businesses like yours, what would you tell him?
I would say I'm not qualified, and I would probably think.
I would say you are.
I would have a different approach. I would start with absolute criminals, and obviously, where are they going to deport these folks? What part of Mexico? I know in Chiapas, there's a war going on for the border of Guatemala and Mexico. There's no Mexican police there. There's two cartels, and they're fighting to the death. And people there don't have freedom to go to the hospital. They don't have freedom to call their neighbors. They don't have freedom to go out, walk the streets. They don't have freedom to go to school. They have to pay a tax to live there. So many different things are happening right there in Chiapas. Where are they going to send hundreds of thousands of people in Mexico? Secondly, that's something I don't know, but I would start with the people that are breaking the laws, that are making difficult, nefarious decisions here. And then I would give people that are here paying taxes, showing that they're involved in the community, some way to get amnesty or to become a citizen, as our ancestors did when we fled from Scotland and Europe and different places around the country. And so that would be what but I think they do need to learn our laws. Mexican people, and they need to learn our culture and how we communicate with one another and how our quality of living is. It's very different. And so that can be taught. There's things in our school, in our public school program, that we don't teach how to be adults, so I can go into all that and go down, but it starts with education. And I go to Mexico for my education. I want to see what they live like. I had no idea. I came back with a humility of, it's not just things. It's what have you sacrificed in your family? What kind of broken family do you have now in the pursuit of what you thought was happiness? It's a humbling feeling to have someone work their whole year and spend half their salary on a quinceañera for their 15-year-old daughter out of just pure love. And 1,000 people came. It's unfathomable because you just love so much that it's just the monetary things become what they are, things.
Yeah.
So
you shared with me, and I don't know how much of this you feel at liberty to talk about on the podcast here, but a very unconventional exit strategy that you have in mind for your company. Can you share with us about that?
Yeah, I changed my focus I've never been really tied to money. I literally grew up across the street through that window in those mobile home parks. I grew up there, and I get to look at that, and I think we have people here that we have given away homes, so many cars, helped loans for cars and different things that they never thought were possible. People that have went their life without ever owning a house, and they own their own home and paying lot rent somewhere. So to say that the culture here is so different, it has to do with the people. And changing it to be about the people is more, to me, about learning them, focusing on them, building your business around them. And so part of that is, I don't want to be running this forever. I sell, and I sell well, and I've enjoyed it, and I meet clients, and it's not my passion. My passion is people. Well, I have the opportunity to show the world, or at least Haywood County, that someone can be successful. They can do it within 10 or 15 years. That's a lot, but I'll get better at it. And then they can turn this business over. What I plan to do for both the landscaping and the staining company, for the people that have been here for so long, we're going to turn over the companies to them. And we're going to sell the assets, but all of the clientele, all of the profits will certainly go to them and be split. And the people that are at the top, that are helping consistently, are going to have a more percentage than the people, and so forth and so forth. So the drivers, the crew leaders, etc. And as far as that, I was originally 7 years, and we have 5 left, but I believe we can do it in 3. And we have a great gentleman and his wife that work here that are going to be the future of the staining company and the bookkeeping. We have another gentleman who's the future already of the landscaping company. And once they get a little bit more training, I'll be able to stand back and watch how it operates, and then go and do the same thing over again with another group of people, or take a group of people with me to go do something different in another area and turn it over for them, or start a satellite location. My goal is to turn our workers into employees where everybody's working on a profit style. And then that way the people in the community could maybe spread, it could be contagious, and other employees may create some sort of residual income for themselves so they can turn their business over and be done with it, retire.
Yeah. I know, to me, in my Western mindset, that sounds just wild. But I would think that for your employees who are coming from, South America, where it is more of a communal type of worldview, that probably isn't so foreign to them, right? I'm sure they're very grateful. I mean, that you would be willing to do this, especially what they know about Western culture. But I mean, are they just, is this like so you're not talking about like a earn out or a buyout, like this is just you're giving the company away
With the selling of assets.
with the selling of that?
Yeah,
What does that look like?
24, 26 trucks and other different things that are going to be accumulated in value. But
So you're going to sell the asset for your family, your retirement. You're keeping what?
the land for
The
the rent.
land for the rent.
And I'll get a little bit into that. My goal was to create residual income. And as soon as I got to a place where I felt comfortable, it was time to do that.
Yeah.
But believe it or not, Darren, they don't believe me. That's part of the culture. They have been lied to. When they see us or when they walk into somebody and they look into their eyes, sometimes people say what they think and it hurts. And they've been done that so many times that just one man comes in, and even with 5-10 years of consistency, you're not going to change that mindset. Even if I go visit with their family until I do it. And this last year, I broke through to one of the most top people in our company. And I said, the difference between me and you is I trust you. I said, I'm ready. I said, I will do what I say. Have I done what I said so far? He said, yes. And so that's kind of like the topping on the cake. When I do it, it's going to be like a stamp. It's going to be like, it's done,
Yeah.
and it's going to be like, I told you, and so now you have to go do that. And my goal was that when I die, people are changed forever. When they get done, they're like, wow, I'm going to go to his funeral. I'm going to, I just love that man. He helped me. And so coming from nothing financially and having a burdensome upbringing with a lot of people helping in Western North Carolina and changing who I am and God's help, etc. I think that's cool. That's a legacy move.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be contagious.
Yeah. Well, we've only had one story on this show that I could think of that is somewhat similar, and that would be Alan Barnhart, the founder of Barnhart Crane and Rigging, which is $1 billion company, and they gave the entire company away to a charitable trust that gives to different Christian ministries, and they capped their salary at, I mean, very low early on, and they made that decision very early on. But this is not giving it to a charitable trust. It's going to give the money to a lot of other things outside of the company. You're talking about actually giving it to the people who are already working in the company.
My goal was to ensure the quality.
Yeah.
If I left, I could not ensure the quality would be good unless the income or some sort of benefit comes up.
Yeah.
Loyalty is gone. I'm gone. The headship is gone a little bit,
Yeah.
So,
Adam, what's one of your favorite stories that illustrates the impact being made by your company? Whether it's internally with your team or
several. Most recently were the flood victims. We had a gentleman way off in what was it, West Fork or Little East Fork, and he had 2 homes. We had him as a customer. Actually, it's so ironic how God works. And he made a phone call. He barely got a phone call out in Asheville to us and said, Adam, we need some help. Houses are flooded. I'm homeless. I'm in a hotel. My other home flooded. This man had 3 homes to nothing with no flood insurance below. So it's very, he said that God used you because I asked him to. He said, I wanted him to wreck me and to change me from the inside out. And it took me losing everything. And he said, when you called and your team showed up, he said, I felt what God's love really was like. And he said, I'm 50 years old. I'm a grown man. I thought I was a Bible-loving Christian man. And I was walking around as a false prophet. And he said, you truly awakened me. And we prayed. then we got another story about another two folks that were just randomly on Jonathan Creek. They, you didn't know. There was just people that got hit, and they were one of them. The water was coming in. The neighbors helped them get out. They lost everything there. And he is battling cancer. And she, which I'll keep them unnamed, is battling a heart surgery that's coming up. So both in pretty bad shape, but learning later, the guy helped build the North Carolina Arboretum. He was the builder. He was the lead builder. And he just happened to land in my vicinity. And he called and we came in there and we took everything out of their home when they felt so defeated. And same story. That man's life has changed. He said, I know I will be going to heaven now, Adam. We've seen each other, and he cries and he holds, and it's just God's love. It's changed him forever. What a way. Yeah. What's something you can go now, it's done. You've done something, and that's my goal. Taking my kids out there, taking the workers out there. It's an education that you think but you don't know until you do.
Yeah.
And that's it. You gotta go and get it. So
wow. Love it. Adam, man, thank you for what you do in the kingdom, for our community, and for how you've blessed me and our listeners today.
Yeah, thank you for letting me share. I hope I didn't offend anybody out there. I really
no, we like to offend people. So that's
okay. Good.
We all, yeah. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you like to get your feathers ruffled a little bit. I hope that's what we need to do. Right on. Thanks again, Adam. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, Darren.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Christian Business Leader Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and tune in for the next episode as we continue exploring God's will and ways for business.